This is a fun video because we are going to be talking about games, and everybody likes games, even vocabulary games. So what we have here, or what we're starting with, are online games. These are games that I've come across that I think people will have fun with, and that of course strengthen your GRE vocabulary. First one is dictionary.com. Don't just go to dictionary.com, but once you're there, go to the taskbar and you'll see something called Word Dynamo. Word Dynamo is an excellent way to strengthen your GRE vocab through flashcard games, through crossword puzzles, etc. And essentially you make a username, and that username is this ongoing score you have. So every time you come back, your score will always be at a certain level, and you can increase that. So you're kind of getting more and more points, and they have you, or they measure your progress along a certain level. So it's really fun. You say, hey, look, I'm getting up to the college level or the graduate school level. So always built-in gamification like that makes things go by faster. Now, dictionary.com is just one. That is Word Dynamo is just one online source. Another one I like is Merriam-Webster's. This, again, is merriam-websters.com. This is the dictionary. And what they have is they have a quiz feature that tests your vocab knowledge. And they also test your speed. So I just did the test, for instance. I saw words like vitiate. That's a great GRE word, which means to corrupt. I saw want, W-O-N-T, which means to be accustomed to, or to do something habitually. And essentially what you're doing is these words are flashed in front of you, and as quickly as you can, you have to choose from one of four possibilities. And there's even a leaderboard so you can compare yourself against other people. And it's great. You don't have to know these words. You don't have to be the top of the leaderboard. But the point is that if you come across some words here in this quiz, that you can add them to your active GRE vocabulary. Now next, we have offline games. And this is just one I've come up with, which is called synonym clusters. This works as follows. So let's say you've learned a lot of words that mean to criticize harshly, such as rail, to rail against, to berate, to speak out against and criticize, to harangue. And so the goal is how many can you come up with? And so you can even give yourself a target number, such as 10. And this, of course, is a game that I probably should have prefaced this, but this is a game that makes a lot more sense once you've been doing vocabulary for a while. Because if you've only started doing GRE vocabulary, then it's going to be very difficult to get 10. But the idea of these games is to take all those words that are floating around in your head, pinballing and cartwheeling about, and to kind of give them some shape, to mold them so that you can focus them on a piece of paper or in the game, meaning that you're not just forgetting these words, you don't have a vague sense of them, but you're actually recalling them in novel contexts, such as the synonym cluster game. And it doesn't even have to be synonyms. You could say, okay, well, what about antonyms? If I've come up with 10 synonyms, can I think of 10 antonyms? So to praise, well, to extol, to laud, etc. Maybe a little bit more difficult to come up with praising words. For some reason, the English language has a lot of words meaning to criticize. It's also good you can check using thesaurus.com. Again, don't build your vocabulary by going to thesaurus.com, because oftentimes words are kind of lumped together. But we are kind of lumping words together, trying to be as specific as possible, though there are sometimes subtle differences between these words. But the point, of course, is that you can check how well you've done. Now, the next game I call the Super Box. It sort of looks like a Boggle board if you've ever played Boggle, but if you haven't, don't worry because the rules are very different. But what you have to do is choose a phrase. I like to do it at least by choosing a phrase. Some people like to write down random numbers, but what you're going to do is you're going to make a grid, 5 by 5 usually works best, 5 by 5 grid of letters. And so let's start with GRE vocabulary. Notice it's 5 by 5, so I'm going to stop after I get to the 5th letter. Vocabulary is important. Now you'll notice I didn't quite get to the final letter down here. I only got to 24 out of 25, but that's fine. The idea, though, or the point of the game, is you want to see how many GRE words you can make up using the letters in the grid. Now, you can use letters more than once in the sense that, let's say I see the word here, venal, V-E-N-A-L. Now, you can use letters more than once, meaning you can go back and come up with another word, such as grievous, Grievous. That is, the letters don't expire once you use them. However, you can't come up with a word like egregious because there's only one E in our grid. Now, the point is not to play this game forever, but to give yourself a time limit. I like 5 minutes. Those, when you're starting off, you may want to try 10 minutes. Now, the goal, of course, is to come up with as many GRE words as possible and award yourself more points for the more letters are in a word. And the way the point system works is the fewest number of letters you can have is 4. And there's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It goes even up to 11 if you can think of that big of words that are found in the grid. And so here with the fourth one, we give you 1 point. So that is, if you have a 4-letter word, you get 1 point. If you have a 5-letter word, 2 points. 6-letter word, 3 points. And this is essentially how the scoring works. This is a Fibonacci sequence, by the way, for those who are mathy folks. So let's just match these up. So this makes it a fun game because now you have a point system. And the goal of the game is to get 100 points. So right now I have venal, which means corrupt, in terms of you accept bribes, etc. And that's 2 points. Grievous, something is really bad. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I get 8 points. Egregious didn't work, so because we only have 1 E up here, and egregious has 2 E's. And so we have 10 points. And so your job is to see how many you can come up with, and can you break 100 in less than 5 minutes or less than 10 minutes? Or you could even say, give yourself 200 points. It's up to you what you want to do, but I like to set a limit on 100 points and go for speed. So words that I've just looking at here, I see cabal, which is a secret group, little clan. It only get me 2 points, but then I see, ooh, look at this one, importune, which means to make persistent requests, or the adjective describing someone who importunes, which is importunate, which is 6, 8, 11. So that would give me 34 points, which is quite a lot. One final rule to this game. Notice this S hanging out here. You can't just add that to the end of the letter and get, or rather the end of the word and get more points that way. You want to make sure that you are only adding something if it changes part of speech, not simply making it plural or changing the verb form. So again, try this game. It's one of those things, if you see me doing it, well, it's not that fun. Because, hey, how did he get importunate really so quickly? I'll let you know a little secret. Before I filmed this video, I made this exact grid and looked for these words. So don't worry, I didn't get it that quickly. But it becomes really fun. That's the point when you try it on your own and suddenly you see these big words come out of the grid that you didn't even expect before. And again, the point of this is not just to have fun. It's not just to get 100 points and become better at spotting words in a grid. The idea is that you have all these words in your head. These GRE words. Some of them are solidly formed. Some of them you even knew before. But others are just kind of moving around in your head. They have tenuous connections. And by playing these games, we strengthen them, because you may even say, oh, venal, I see venal in there, but wait a second. What did venal mean? And by trying to recall what it means, even if you have to go scrambling through the dictionary, is just one way to strengthen your long-term memory of that word. And again, you won't even notice it because games are fun.